This is Sai Pranindra from SQL School. I assure you, complete practical and technical, 100% hands-on on every aspect of a colorful, very beautiful, and very useful Azure SQL DBA track. Come on, let's get started now. Let's understand slowly, step by step, on what is Azure, why to go for Azure, and slowly understand how to get into. Well, so you see on the screen the list of all 13 different boxes, and we are into this particular class is for box number 12, and eventually you may need to proceed to 13 if in case you require. Beside the other trainings that we offer, Azure DevOps, Tableau, and PostgreSQL. These are the Microsoft data platform courses that I would be taking care. Well, so we are into box number 12, Azure DBA. What it actually means? Well, let's get started slowly. And participants who are very new to database would start from box 1, later go to 11, then step into this particular course 12. The participants who already have knowledge on the SQL DBA, welcome into box number 12. Let's get started now. Let's understand what is Azure, why we require it, and what we need to do as a DBA on my screen. Yes, over decades, we have been either involved or having knowledge or having some orientation on the on-premise environment, your company's data center or your PC hosting SQL Server. We say instances, right? Yes, up to 50 installations, up to 50 instances in your computer. Of course, in real world, we generally see one default instance in general, except sandbox or dev or UAT environment, wherein we generally see multiple installations, multiple instances. Mostly it would be one if it is a production box. In general, it is on-premise. It's our duty to manage, to monitor, to own the server. It is just like saving the contact number. You got our SQL School contact number, you would like to save it into your mobile, your SIM card. Now, after a while, you try to sync up with your Google Cloud or say iCloud or Samsung Cloud, the same contact information. I mean, it's no more device specific, right? It's in cloud. You have your resume, you upload to Google Drive, you can share it with anyone in this globe, across the globe. That is what our right side Microsoft Azure, a cloud, a remote storage environment. And for our SQL Server, we have 3 fundamental important implementations. Here we go. Well, in next 20 to 30 minutes from now, we'll be understanding how to configure Azure account and how to configure server inside the Azure account or SQL Server. We'll do. Before that, let me show you those 3 different implementation areas. For example, I'll type there Azure SQL and I click here. I just type Azure space SQL and click. And again click here, say create. We see 3 different deployment options. The SQL deployment options, there are three different types. One is SQL database, other one virtual machine, in between a hybrid model, managed instance. What are these? And why we have three different offerings from Microsoft for SQL Server? Yes, of course, SQL means here SQL Server. Either you would like to go for one or three or in between two for the purpose of SQL Server activities and migrations in Azure. Here we go. Let's start the story. Well, in cloud, we have one specific offering from Microsoft for SQL Server that is 100% manageable by cloud itself, by Azure itself. The other one, we manage it. And the middle box, 50-50. What does it mean? The first case, there is no concept of instance. We say serverless, we say logical server. We need not worry about the location of our server or the database. In fact, at the time of creating the database, we don't see any location. We simply say create database. We are done. Our next level journey, next chapter, configuring the database. Today we will configure the Azure account, and next example, very next class would be about server database configuration. So wherein you need not specify any particular location, Azure will take care of it. Whereas here we need to specify the installation location, we need to specify the server installation, database creation, file groups, files, etc. A hybrid model between the top and the bottom, you got the managed instance. In logical server, no agent. Then what about jobs? Yes, we have other nice alternatives. 50 databases for logical server, no linked servers. I assume we are aware of the regular SQL basics, database fundamentals. No profiler and no database tuning advisor tools. Then what about tuning? Yes, we got nice automated tuning techniques. We have something called Geo Replications, part of our course. We need to practice them technically, step by step with all examples. Nice high availability disaster recovery solutions like database sync or data sync, failovers, etc. Then we are going to journey further into virtual machines in our course, wherein we would be understanding similar to on-premise server or instance configuration, database creations, file groups, files, secondary files, etc. Secondary files are not supported in PaaS, in logical server. We are going to slowly understand about the concept of linking of servers, clustering and always on, technically, practically, and the use of profiler and DTA in Azure if it is virtual machines. Box number 12, Azure DBA, Azure DBA course. If in case you are into managed instance, your next level journey, here will be taking the 100% lift and shift of on-premise to cloud. 100% lift and shift. And getting the advantage of automated maintenance, automated tuning activities. No profiler, no DTA, but complete server can be shifted. Well, so accordingly we have different plans. And before that, yes, these are the concepts. The yellow box you see over there, the yellow box, that's the mandatory requirement. The yellow box is the mandatory requirement. Make sure you revise all the basics of core admin activities, including tuning and HADR concepts. Tuning and HADR concepts mandatory. Please make sure you revise them. And also make sure we are aware of common errors and solutions. Common errors and solutions. Like for example, what we do if a database is down, or what we do if a particular server is down, etc. Make sure you get them carefully. And accordingly, we can continue for the next level activities as you see on the screen about the core Azure admin activities. So what we do here? So make sure you revise all the core basic activities like database basics to installation, server tools installation, firewall configurations. Please revise them. Connections, schemas, temporary tables, joins and triggers, the basic architectural activities. More importantly, linked servers and architecture. Different types of backups, common errors and solutions, restores, common errors and solutions, partial backup, partial restores. Please revise jobs like recurring jobs and automated schedule, automated jobs, database mails, notifications with SMTP access, simple mail transfer protocol. Different types of security, containment authentication. In addition to SQL and Windows, we have containment authentication. Please revise them. Make sure we are aware of all the tuning techniques. Execution plan analysis, like what we do if there is more IO cost, more CPU cost, more thread count, etc. Implement the query store technology or query store technique. Lock management, reading the XDL files, XML deadlock files. Health checks, what we do if a particular database is down. How do you resolve a 1205 error or 023 error? Common, very, very common errors and solutions. In what scenarios we get memory or temp debug log space issues? What would be our first level, next level, and kind of RCA, root cause analysis we do as a DBA. Get the information on the system database rebuilds and HADR concepts with the scenarios for DAC connections and possible rollbacks for updates and updates. The dedicated administration console. And what could be the backup strategies and HADR strategies, how they can work together without conflicting each other. Get the information, revise your SQL concepts on, admin concepts on SLA, OLA, ticketing tools. The kind of routine DBA activities, emergency and maintenance activities. Project anyway, part of our course if in case you are into the core admin. Our actual subject now, the Azure, it includes all the Azure concepts and optionally as per your registration, the managed instance concepts as well. Before we come here, let's understand what is Azure, why we require it. Then we are going to understand what exactly we are going to do in the class, in our actual course. When we say 100% hands-on, we mean it. Let's justify it. So let's make sure we understand what is Azure now. Assuming we are aware of the basics of database administration in SQL Server 2016 or higher versions preferably. Let's get started now. What is Azure and why to go for Azure? Then we shall come back to this complete roster along with the course plans, and then get the detailed course curriculum, the day-wise roster to proceed for your registration. Let's get started now. What is Azure? This complete set of documents will be a part of your notes that you would be able to get the access from this class anyway. What is Azure? Before that, what is cloud? A virtual environment to host any data or applications. Yes, for example, in another 15-20 minutes from now, we are going to configure a server like this that can be accessible either through a browser or our regular SSMS tool, our regular management studio tool that you have been working on all these months or years as a DBA. We have other tools as well, like for example Azure Data Studio that we are going to install in next few minutes. We require it for our course. We have a specific lab plan. So management studio, data studio, tools plus browser, two different ways to access the virtual storage environment called cloud. Now here we go, either through URL, website or tools. Why to go for cloud? No physical infrastructure is involved, so low maintenance. We need not worry about the wear and tear or repairs or any other type of overhead. No physical network is involved. Yes, in our course, we'll be understanding about something called as virtual networks. For example, in our chapters like 37 and 38 chapters, we have something called as virtual networks to configure the clusters. And we have something called domain configurations. So for that we require virtual networks, we call them. Yes, nothing is physical here. Easy threat management and easy data encryptions, dead simple and straightforward when we compare with on-premise environment. For example, in our course curriculum, the 35th chapter will talk about security management. We have different levels of security. There are total 9 different levels of security, and all permission roles from regular on-premise are supported in Azure plus extra something more. I repeat, your regular on-premise SQL security implementations are supported, plus additionally more security roles are supported again. I mean to say, making the things really easier and simple, straightforward. Network level, data level, application level security activities, including the security at transit for ETL and migration activities. At last, cloud is easier to manage, easier to monitor, and easier to secure our job, our duty as a DBA. And this SQL server, our SQL server, can be configured not just in Azure cloud. Even AWS supports SQL server. aws.amazon.com/SQL. We have nice support for SQL Server, hosting and management in AWS. We have a separate course for it altogether. And same way, cloud.google.com is a GCP, Google Cloud Platform. It has a tremendous amount of support for SQL Server. Now, Amazon Web Services and Google Cloud, they support only few implementation styles as you compare with Azure. So Azure is the best for SQL Server implementations in cloud in general. If in case you would like to enjoy all features, the complete beauty of SQL Server, Azure is the best for SQL Server implementations we are talking about. Now, what are those features which are missing in other cloud environments like AWS and Google Cloud, which are there in Azure to make it a best option? Let's go there slowly now for next few minutes. So there are three popular clouds for SQL Server hosting, and our preferred choice, your selected course, Azure, a Microsoft cloud platform to host, secure and manage, access various applications and various types of storage activities. I will say file storage, shares and queues, etc. And easily we can configure the networks. That's our job as a DBA. Virtual machines, part of our course, Azure DBA. Availability groups, we need to do it for our clustering activities very soon in our classes next. Clusters, everything can be done in an easier way. No kind of difficulty level. Simple and straight. And as you know, Microsoft is known for easy, user-friendly environment. So why to go for Azure? Cheaper, comparatively cheaper. We are going to see in next few minutes the cost of SQL database per month can be brought down as low as $5 a month. Comparatively cheaper, highly secure. Once again, you pay more, we get more, right? That's how it works in our real life. If we wanted more, we need to pay more for it. As simple as that. And easy integration with other data platform, data storage platforms, I'll put this way, and suits Windows and non-Windows platforms. Here it is. When we say suit, it's all about accessibility for development, testing, or we say development operations, DevOps. That's the greatness of Azure. Well, Azure DevOps is a separate course for us anyway. Let's stay tuned to the Azure admin part here. So what are the environment types in Azure Cloud? SaaS, software as a service in general. Yes, it is 100% cloud. In this case, Azure maintains the components we call, say storage and application components. Same way, PaaS, platform as a service, it is mostly cloud, 80% cloud. Azure can maintain the component. Sometimes you are also, we are also involved as a DBA to maintain the components. For example, audits, monitoring, metrics, alerts, we need to configure it. And that's what we do in our course next. We need to do it. Yes, infrastructure as a service, 50% cloud, 50% non-cloud. Well, here it is. Azure, as well as we need to maintain the components together in sync. Best example for EAS is virtual machines. Let me just put this way. The best example is virtual machines. Here we go. Let me just get this sheet. My sheet is not visible for some time because of the prompt in SSMS. Here it is. PaaS. I said PaaS, mostly cloud. Cloud will manage. EAS is something like 50-50. 50% we manage, 50%, remaining 50% cloud will manage. That is infrastructure as a service. What do we mean by we manage? Yes, we need to decide the location of a database. We need to decide the type of version or the edition of SQL Server instance. In PaaS, Azure will decide automatically. In EAS, we need to control the service pack or patch updates downtime. In PaaS, Azure will take care of it. This way is 100% cloud or 80% or 50%. A basic level comparison, and we need to touch base with these components throughout the course. So as we have been learning since starting of the class today, there are 3 different implementations for SQL Server in cloud. Option 1, logical server. Option 2, virtual machine. And option 3, managed instance. Logical server. No operating system is involved. We are going to set up our lab today in another 10 minutes max. We'll see there. To configure SQL Server. While configuring SQL Server, there is no concept of Windows authentication because there is no operating system involved. That's how it works in logical server. You go for virtual machines, the story will be different. We call it EAS, infrastructure as a service. No control on the disk system as well as services. And easier to manage and maintain. If you go for virtual machines bound to a particular operating system like Linux or Windows, both part of our course. Great control on the disk system. When we say great control, we can customize it. We can decide whether you want HDD, SSD or super fast SSD. There are multiple options. We can decide. In logical server, PaaS, cloud will decide. Control on the services, we can stop the service or start the service. Flexible but costly. Here no control on the services, easier to maintain, comparatively it is cheaper. You want more, we need to invest more. As simple as that. We have something called managed instance. Yes, logical server is into PaaS, platform as a service. Then why we require managed instance? As the name signifies, at the entire instance level. No operating system is involved and no control on the disks or services. Okay. Then what's the benefit? Here it is. We can control maintenance activities, management and maintenance activities. It is similar to virtual machines. It is similar to virtual machines. Here it is. Same way. Coming to the cost, yes, it is costly. It's a mix, right? You would like to get the advantage of logical server as well as advantage of virtual machines, then we go for managed instance. In simple terms, logical server 80% Azure will manage, 20% we need to manage as a DBA. Virtual machine 50% Azure will manage, remaining 50% we need to manage. Like disks, services, agent, management, maintenance we need to do. Patch, service pack, versions, updates, upgrades, Azure will do. Managed instance, a mix of these two. Comparatively costly affair. With this information, box number 12, Azure SQL DB and VM, our current course. If required, you may upgrade to managed instance, this one later once you complete the current course based on your requirement, your project implementation plan, or upskilling or reskilling yourself, whatever. With this information, let me scroll down back to our notes. So this is a diagram from the Excel sheet. I just got it over here. Now, what we do as a DBA? Yes, if it is on-premise, in fact, our box number 11, 1 and 11, this is the actual agenda. Chapters 1 to 27 from our DBA course. And that's a prerequisite, okay? That's a prerequisite to step into Azure DBA. Now, what we do in Azure DBA? Yes, we need to understand now what we actually do as a DBA as per the curriculum in box 12 and 13. Let's go there. Box number 12 first. Yes, here it is. Box number 12, chapters 28 to 39. It is Azure DBA and here it is, the box number 13. This is for Azure managed instance. Let's be clear in what we need to do. Here it is. Implement SQL Server in EAS, Infrastructure as a Service. We call it logical server. What does it mean? Yes, here you go. We click on add. In another 5-10 minutes, we are going to get this server creation and we'll type there SQL Server. Type there SQL Server and you get something called logical server. The first part. There is something called SQL Server on Linux or Windows, etc. Here it is, SQL Server in PaaS, Platform as a Service. We call it as virtual machine in VM, or simply say SQL Server in VMs. These two. Whereas here SQL Server in EAS, once again, sorry, this one is Infrastructure as a Service, and this is called the PaaS, Platform as a Service. Let's go ahead with PaaS again. This is managed instance. I repeat again on my screen. PaaS, there are two different options. One is logical server, other one managed instance. Now, logical server, what we need to do? Yes, we'll be understanding implement SQL Server. We need to understand about migrations. immediately after migrations comes audits, metrics, and monitoring operations. Of course, we need to understand about the alerts. And here in the logical server, we have nice option of automated backups. We need not perform any backup manually, monitor automated backups, and implement PITR, point in time recovery. And next, implement something called as HADR activities called Geo Replication. Remember these new technical terms. Server failover. There is no concept of clusters here. Remember, there is no concept of mirroring or log shipping. We have something called server failover and something called data sync or database sync. Next comes implement security concepts, security management activities. We need to design the security strategies and implement them, including encryptions, threat detections, and vulnerability assessments. Now, if you go for infrastructure as a service, story is as is. 1 to 27 chapters. All these things as is. Yes, it's all about design, or as a DBA, we are not involved in any design. It's all about migrations, audits, monitoring with DB mails. We can do that. Next, let me put this way. Here we need to configure. There is no automated backups by default. We need to configure automated backups. Of course, by using maintenance plans. Configure automated backups. Implement PITR, log restores, as well as partial restores. We cannot directly have log restores in logical server, remember. I mean, if our source database is configured for partial restores, and if in case you happen to migrate it to logical server in PaaS, we cannot expect partial restores there. You want partial restores? Then yes, we need to get into virtual machines. I mean, based on the features they support, we need to decide accordingly which one to go for. Next, implement HADR as is in on-premise replication, log shipping, mirroring, as well as always on. Additionally, we can implement, and as you know, always on can be configured with and without clusters. There is no concept of always on in logical servers. You want it, you go for VMs. Implement Windows clusters, SQL clusters, or simply say here OS level clusters with the help of domain controllers. Here it is. Just a high level comparison activity. Then what about managed instance? Yes, when it comes to the managed instance, we need to get all these activities. I'll just put like this. And these activities I'll give a different color just for easy understanding. Okay, so here I'll just give a different color for easy understanding. Now just mix them together here. As simple as that. Mix them together and perform minor edits. Yes, here we go. There are automated backups, and we can also configure the backups. Remember, both are possible. Implement PITR, partial restores. We can do that. There is no concept of geo replication directly. We have nice security activities. There is no concept of clusters because it is by default pre-configured for a cluster. Managed instance is actually a pre-configured cluster setup. Remember that. That's another reason managed instance deployment generally takes somewhere between 4 to 10 hours for creation, whereas a VM can be created within max 5 to 10 minutes. Logical server can be created within max 2 to 3 minutes. 2 to 3 minutes, 5 to 10 max 15 minutes, whereas here it is 5 to 10 hours as on date. Just for configuration I'm talking about. With this information, now let's get started with our actual journey. To start our course, make sure I request you to install SQL Server 2019 or 17. Prefer to have evaluation edition. You're already aware of installation. Please get the things downloaded, installed from this website link. For best results, make sure your SSMS also with the same version. And we means our course, you and me, we both of us require a tool called Data Studio. A tool called Data Studio. Why? Yes, to communicate with the Azure environment. To make sure we understand something called as Azure notebooks and other important beautiful components. Yes, here we go. From where to get it? You'll copy this website link. Make sure you configure the lab carefully. Make sure your computer has SQL Server installed, SSMS installed, and also a tool called Data Studio. Just download, and once it is downloaded, you double click. Let's wait for a few moments. Let's wait for a few moments. Yes, I think by mistake I got it downloaded 2 times. It's taking a bit time. Let's wait for a few moments. Once it is downloaded, then next step. It's a free tool, just like SSMS. Click. You're already aware of the core admin activities. You decided to go for Azure now. Directly, box 12, core, actual Azure concepts. Then make sure you install this tool called Azure Data Studio tool. The download link would be available in the session notes. You would be able to access from this particular class. Just download and start installation. It's a free tool, hardly takes 30 seconds to 1 minute time. Please install it. We are going to use the Data Studio as well as Management Studio to operate on our Azure SQL Server and database activities. The format would be something like this. You see on the screen the SSMS environment, your local server, and this is your Azure logical server. No agent. You are the admin and no agent. Not required. Everything automated. Then what you do as a DBA? A lot of things we need to do slowly, step by step. We need to monitor, manage really a lot of things. And that is what we are going to understand from here, the actual day-wise plan. It's already there on the website, and our team shall send you the curriculum once again. Make sure you revise chapters 1 to 27, right from the basics, carefully, step by step. And your Azure DBA course journey starts from chapter number 28. Continue with Azure configurations, server and database configuration, something called elastic DTUs, called data transaction units for resource allocations. Tuning activities we need to understand, we need to practice. Different tuning tools we need to learn. Something called stretch databases for playing with hot and cold data migrations. Automated backups, manual restores. We have something called as Geo Replication. We have something called as Geo Replication and data sync, server failovers. And we have security management activities. We have something called as security management activities we need to learn. Different kinds of security management activities we need to learn. And including firewalls and other configurations, row level security, dynamic data masking, PowerShell and virtual machines, cluster setup, and always on implementation with a project work for your resume. So the duration would be for total of 12 hours. For the core Azure DBA activities, box 12 hours. If required, you'll continue for managed instances for another 12 hours. That includes right from the introduction to the managed instance to configurations, connections, migrations, tuning activities, which is a mix of both logical servers and virtual machines, backups, restores and monitoring, and security management. The reason for me reading all these things for us, you will revise your SQL basics carefully. We have replications, on-premise connections with something called instance pools, which is actually a nice alternative for server failover in logical servers and clusters in always on. An alternative called instance pools. Specifically, when you come across any job requirement, any JD over LinkedIn or any other job portal, these technical terms will be helping us a lot. And feature comparison, when to go for which, and how to plan our capacity planning, migration planning, and generating the POCs out of it. It's completely hands-on, promise you again and again. And with this information, now let's configure our lab. My installation is almost done. So make sure in your computer, you have your SQL Server, SSMS, and Data Studio. This one, the Azure Data Studio tool in your computer. And what else? The other box, right side, Azure. Well, we are going to configure the Azure account. And once you configure Azure account, you need to have server creation and database creation. We require it. Now, how to do that? How to configure the server creation and database creation? How to do that here? Yes. For this purpose of server creation and configuration activities, make sure you have a credit card with you. Make sure you have a credit card with you so that you will be able to activate the free trial. And once you activate the free trial, then all you do is you need to go to a website, this one, azure.microsoft.com. It will be included in the notes anyway. It's part of your notes. Start free. They'll ask you for the credit card details and name. You need to create your own free account. You require it. Once you click on start free, they'll prompt you for a few details. You'll get a OTP and a confirmation message on email. Once you enter and sign up with all the details, then we need to have the portal access, portal.azure.com. The links will be a part of the notes anyway. And what we do here, yes, that should be fine for now. In the next class, we are going to start configuring our server, database, and firewall and other security components slowly, step by step. We'll start from the very basics. Just to get some idea, let me say here, let's see how to create a server or how to deploy a server. I was promised you that I'll be showing you just to get some idea. I said earlier, logical server, there is no operating system, there is no Windows authentication. I was telling, right? What do it means? What does it actually means? Yes. For example, create resource. Any item we buy from Azure is called a resource. Remember, I'll say Azure SQL. Click on Azure SQL. Just to get some idea, okay? In our very next class, we are going to configure the server and database anyway. Slowly get started with our technical information step by step to get some idea. Yes, here we will say database server create. This will create something called as a logical server. We are talking about the first option. We simply provide a resource group. For example, Azure SQL DBA resource group. Any name is fine. You'll be having a free trial. Once you register for Azure, you'll be having a free trial, 1 year validity. There is no auto debit in any case, so no problem. After 1 year also, we need to give a confirmation once again to convert your free trial to something like pay as you go. So no auto debit, 1 year free trial. Out of 1 year, for SQL Server, it is 30 days read-write permissions, and remaining 11 months, it is read-only permissions. Resource to resource, it changes. There is something like Cosmos DB or Databricks. There we got 15 days trial, anytime in 1 year. So resource to resource, it actually changes technically. This 1 month free trial should be absolutely fine for our Azure DBA course box 12. And if in case you are going for box 13 managed instances, for this free trial is not enough. We need to have a paid account. Free trial will not support managed instance. Module 3. Free trial supports the core Azure DBA activities, including clustering components. No problem at all for the entire box 12 core or actual Azure DBA activities. It works. So you create a subscription resource group with your regular free trial. We can do these things. Server name, something like SQL School, and trial server, something like this. Give some name. Any name is okay. It should be universally, globally unique, and you get some suffix. We'll learn more about it from the next class. You get some location. It's cloud, so you need to specify the nearest data center to your customer base. Admin name, I'll say something like this. Give the required admin name and the password. What about SCA? Yes, we are already aware of the SQL database administration activities. We may get out, hey, what about SCA? SCA is there, safe, and in our security management chapter, we need to explore more about it, why it is not included here, and what we need to do to enable it, etc. For now, you got admin login password and review plus create. That simple it is. Really simple and straight. You got something called subscription, something called resource group. We'll learn more and more from it in the very next classes. For now, just wanted to show you the form, how it looks. You have something called server name, location, admin password. No authentication selection. Check it out. Observe carefully. No service account. No installation location. That is what PaaS mean. Platform as a service. Azure is giving you a platform for SQL Server service. It's a PaaS service, we call it. No Windows authentication required. I mean, no authentication types. No installation location. No instance concept. No database engine component selection. No service account. Right? Simply provide the server name, admin name, password. Done. Create. Your deployment starts automatically. That is called PaaS. Whereas in our later classes, IaaS, infrastructure as a service. Infrastructure as a service, in our later classes, IaaS, this one. We need to specify the installation location. We need to specify the service account. We need to select the authentication. That is the actual difference now. Just wanted to know, get the difference between PaaS and IaaS. I was showing a small example here. Hardly 1 or 2 minutes. This deployment would be done. In our next class, we are going to repeat the process right from Azure account creation in detail, understanding every term, including subscription, resource group, something called tenant, and other things one by one. For now, you'll make sure you revise your SQL database activities carefully. I was requesting you again and again, kindly understand my concern, because we need to ensure we have 100% hands-on classes. We need to make it useful, right? We need to make it useful. With this, we'll stop for now. And this would be the interface for your data studio to be used in the next classes. So we require Management Studio and Data Studio, 2 different tools. And next, you may opt for either live or self-paced, and as usual corporate, and the curriculum would be same, 100% hands-on. With this, we'll stop for now. Any clarifications or questions, please do reach us. Glad to assist you. Thank you very much. Have a nice time.